What's up, guys? Night after the school board meeting. Thanks for everyone who came out and showed support for this kid and for the situation. I know the family appreciates that, and our rights appreciate that, and our freedom. Wanted to get on here, make a little video because, as you know, I tried to live stream it last night. The live stream did not take. Everything was good on my end. It said that it was uploading, had over like 70 minutes of recording time. I get outside, I find out that like 2 minutes and 30 seconds had actually aired. So I apologize for that. I usually do not get good service in government buildings. They're crappy for service, and I didn't have any Wi-Fi or anything, so we were kind of at their mercy with that. The school board did what it could to keep people from speaking. They tried to suppress speech, like most government entities do when they know people are going to be against them. First thing they asked whenever you got up there, Eric Wells asked, "Are you a member of the district? Are you a resident of the district? Do you have own land in the district? Because we only let those speak who have this, this, and this." Obviously, yes, I do. So I did. I thought it was weird. They wanted to write down your name and write down your address, like, we got you if you don't. Kind of like a backhanded threat, and it felt embarrassing to them because dumb. They don't do that at any other meeting, at any other government meeting I've ever been to. But that was what they do, is they use those little fear tactics to try to get inside of civilians' head, and sometimes it works. I will say, last night was one of the hardest meetings that I ever spoke at, and I've spoke at a lot of state and county level, and been to several federal levels where I've spoken a little bit, just to people, but it's always hardest whenever you go up against people you respect, and there are people on that scoreboard that I do respect, I admire, and I do consider friends. That doesn't change the fact that we still have to exercise our free speech. We have to exercise our feelings to the government, because whether you respect them or not, they are elected to a position to uphold the moral values that you hold. If they are not doing that, you have to challenge them. Because I think that's a lot of time what happens in government is, oh, well, I know them, I like them, they're good people, I'm not going to say anything. That you can't do that. You've got to look at it from a governmental position, and you're the tax-paying citizen. Afterwards, I'll talk to any one of them. We're still friends, still friendly, all that stuff. But in that moment, it's a citizen versus government, and you've got to be able to separate the two. And small towns are horrible about doing that, I know. But it's something that you have to do. It is a necessity for our freedom to be able to do that. And yes, in small towns, a lot of times you're going to have a family member or a friend or just someone you grew up with that's on that other side of the podium from you that you're going to have to speak against if you're willing to speak up for your rights or something, or that you disagree with. It was more of a challenge last night to speak, and I was up for the challenge. I'm glad I did it. I'd like to do it a lot more with, especially with people I know up there, because it just makes me more comfortable doing it. And it was a good learning curve, and I think I did well. But I think a lot more improvement for my speaking to government bodies. But anyway, I'm going to read you what I read, my statement to the school board last night. They made it to where you could only speak on agenda items. They were trying to be smart. They were trying to be kind of tricky. We're trying to keep people from speaking, so you had to stay on topic. And they thought, oh, well, there's nothing on the agenda that they could possibly talk about the issue at hand, the Dr. Pepper scandal. Well, on their agenda, they did have item 9G was policy updates. That's a broad term. Policy update includes all policies, because my statement was before them speaking on the policy updates. So that encompassed every policy that the school has. And so that's how I was able to weasel in my statement and still have a valid reason for saying it, is because it went on policy. So I'm going to read that to you real quick, just that way you guys know what I said to them. First, I want to thank each member of the board for their time. I am here to speak on agenda item 9G. I want to start by saying I have the utmost respect for each one of you and realize that not all decisions you make are the easy ones. Since I am here to speak on policy, I would start by asking, is it policy to discipline students while off of school grounds and or after school hours? If so, I would ask that the school look into that particular policy and reevaluate the power dynamic of home and school. No family should have to question their moral authority inside their own home out of fear of retaliation by the district. School policy does not supersede the right of parents to determine what a child can and cannot do when outside of the clutches of the education system. In closing, it is important for the district to realize the precedent it sets inside its policies are not only to be followed by students, but also staff, faculty, and administration. When policies overreach into the family home, you are directly telling the family, we do not trust you with your own children. I pray this board delves deep into its policy and realizes that policy set is a direct reflection on the school's opinion of the family household. Thank you. It's about the best I could do by staying on policy and still making it important to why I was there. If I would have went any deeper or went off policy, they would have just shut me down, cut me off, and it would have been over. I actually, by doing it like this, I got to speak to them. They got to hear it and hopefully think on it. School board members are voted in. They are elected members. And I think it's very important to hold them to that standard that you hold morally, politically. You want people in elected positions that aren't afraid to stand up. And whether that is to other members of the board, the superintendent, they are there to do a job. They have to be able to separate friendship and the job. They need to look at it from a logical standpoint, take feelings out of it, take the feelings of friendship or whatever they got, take that completely out, look at it from an unbiased angle and say, was this an overreach? Was this an overreaction? Yes? No? And that's what I hope they all do. Like I said, we will find out eventually what happened in the closed session, I'm sure. And I'm eager, I'm eager to see how that went, because I think it'll be very telling on what kind of people we have on the board. We want ones that are willing to stand up and fight for what we hold in our hearts, for our moral and political ethics, and we'll see. I hope it goes good. I hope they take this off his record. What they put on his record, cyberbullying and threatening a school, that's going to keep him out of the military. That's going to keep him out of college. That's going to, colleges are looking at that nowadays because, now more than ever. You know what I mean? So hopefully this was a very intellectual discussion between board members. Hopefully this was a passionate discussion. Hopefully the hard questions were asked, and hopefully the ultimate best decision based on logic happened inside that closed door session. That's all we can ask for. Remember, each and everyone's an elected member. So that means they come up for re-election. And the best thing about that is if something happens that we as a majority disagree with, we get to let our voice be heard on the ballot. Even when you don't show up to meetings or you don't want to speak or anything like that, you can still make your voice heard at the ballot. So always keep that in mind, because the people, as I always say, hold the power. We are the ones who also have to hold the government accountable, because every little intrusion into our freedoms, into our homes from the school, that is just more and more erosion of our freedoms. They don't own our kids. They don't own us. They work for us. And with that, I will leave you tonight. Cheers, guys.